everyone, this is a quick tutorial on how to write a strong paragraph when you're completing argument writing. So oftentimes when you do argument writing, you'll be writing an essay that has multiple paragraphs. But before we get into another process essay where you're writing with multiple paragraphs, you have multiple paragraphs in your argument essay, I really want to focus on the fundamentals to make sure each of your paragraphs is really strong. So what I want to do is go through the format of a paragraph. So this is the paragraph structure that I want you to follow, whether you're writing a single paragraph or whether you're writing a multi-paragraph essay. So each of your paragraphs should begin with a claim. You should follow that claim with data. That data should be followed by a warrant. Then you should present a counterclaim and end with a rebuttal. I'm going to go through each of these so you know what these are supposed to do in your essay. So the first line of each paragraph should clearly state your position in relation to the topic. So if you're writing an essay that has several body paragraphs, you'll have a thesis statement that clearly states your position, your opinion in relation to the topic, and then each of your claims will probably focus on an aspect of that position. If you're just writing a single paragraph, then that first line needs to clearly state your position, and this is the position you're going to quote unquote argue in this particular paragraph. And it's really important to remember that you focus on one point per paragraph. You don't want to jam multiple points into a single paragraph. If you have multiple points, then you need to have multiple paragraphs. So the first sentence is your claim. After your claim, you have your data. This is the evidence that you gather through probably online research to support the point that you made in your claim. It's really key that your data be facts, statistics, evidence, details that you feel really strongly support the statement you made in your claim. You also want to make sure that these facts, statistics are objective, which means they don't lean towards one side of the argument too much or the other. They're just facts and statistics that you can mold and kind of show how they support your point. And you want to make sure they are properly cited. So it's key, if you're not sure how to do your online citations, make sure you visit that OWL Purdue link I provided. After your data, your research, you want to have your warrant. And your warrant is an explanation, an analysis of the data you've provided in your previous sentence and how it supports your claim. So really, this is your opportunity to say, this is how the data I just showed you or I just provided supports the statement I made in my claim. This is very similar to your commentary in an informational essay. And as such, you might have 1, 2, maybe even 3 sentences composing your warrant as you write. So don't feel limited as though the warrant only has to be 1 sentence. It can be a really strong sentence, or it can be kind of developed into multiple sentences. After your warrant, you have to present a counterclaim. A counterclaim is a counter argument that basically disagrees with the claim you made in your first sentence and presents a counter argument. It's really important to acknowledge and address counter arguments. A lot of people want to just ignore them, but if you ignore a counter argument, then your paper seems weaker because it feels to the reader that maybe you're not aware of some of these other arguments, and that's why you're not addressing them. So it's key to identify strong counter arguments and then present them in your counterclaim. Then you finish your paper and you have an opportunity to rebut or to address that counterclaim. And this is where you provide evidence and explanation that disproves or discredits or weakens the counterclaim in some way. And this is a combination of both research and data and your explanation. So this, again, similar to your warrant, might be 1 sentence, it might be 3 sentences. So you want to give yourself a little room to develop it to make sure you're really refuting, you're really rebutting the counterclaim. So it's clear to the reader as they end your paragraph why your position is stronger. I have this example. This is actually an adapted example taken from the OWL Purdue site, and I'm just going to read it for you. And I've left the labels up so you can clearly see what the claim is, the data, the warrant, the counterclaim, and the rebuttal. So this example reads, hybrid vehicles are an effective strategy to fight pollution. Each vehicle produced is going to stay on the road for roughly 12 to 15 years. Cars generally have a long lifespan, so the decision to switch to a hybrid car has a positive long-term impact on pollution levels. Instead of focusing on cars, which still encounters a culture of driving even if it cuts down on pollution, the nation should focus on building and encouraging use of mass transit systems. While mass transit is an environmentally sound idea that should be encouraged, it is not feasible in many rural or suburban areas or for people who must commute to work. Thus, hybrid cars are a better solution for much of the nation's population. So in this example, it's clear that the debate is whether or not hybrid vehicles are a good strategy for fighting pollution. And this particular writer is saying, yes, they are an effective strategy because, and here is the data, most cars are on the road for 12 to 15 years. So the car you choose to drive has a big impact over the space of that time on the total air pollution produced. The warrant explains that because cars have this long lifespan, the decision to switch has a long-term positive impact. The counterclaim they present is basically the idea that, hybrid cars are nice, but really what we should be doing as a society is shifting to mass transportation. So railway and other, undergrounds, bus lines, things that get lots of people traveling together and kind of get rid of this car culture that we have in the United States. The rebuttal says mass transit's a great idea, very environmentally sound, but not realistic for everyone because of all these different examples. So here we have them following the different steps of the paragraph, and maybe it's not the strongest example that is out there, but it kind of clearly identifies all the different parts, and this is what you want to strive for in each of your paragraphs.